evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I am honored to have you here. First of all, I would like to thank the Literature, Publishing, and Translation Commission for organizing this event. I am Ritaj Alhazmi, a 14-year-old author and series writer. I have published several novels and published several articles on multiple platforms. Why writing? And I feel like if you asked Google, it would tell you things like it enhances your communication skills, it sharpens your memory, it makes you a better writer. But as a writer myself, I feel like there are a lot more deeper things that writing, enhances in multiple fields. And I feel like writing is such a vast world with a lot to learn about, and there are a lot of things that can come handy if you learn writing. For example, you had an article that you wanted to write if you're a journalist, or a book that you wanted to write, either fiction or nonfiction, and if you had an essay for school. And all of these things, they all come into the writing process as the universal thing that every writer should know about. The second thing is drafting, where the real journey begins. And I feel like you shouldn't really focus too much on the drafting phase, because sometimes you can feel like that this phase you'll get kind of stuck into it, but don't, because there are a lot of things that you're going to edit later, and that's why we have a phase called the editing phase. And here is where you can take your first draft to the next level. The fourth phase, which is finalizing, here you will polish your first draft and take it to the final draft, where you will make your manuscript or your draft better and better than the first time you started it. And the publishing phase is where you share your book, your article, whatever paper you want, to the people who you want to share it to. This could be teachers if you have an essay. To begin, give yourself permission to write a bad book. Then revise until it's not a bad book. And I feel like most beginners think that they have to write a first good draft to make it to the next level and to get it, to get their book where they want it to be. But it's not the case most of the times. Most of the times, you really need to take that step and get out of your comfort zone to do something that's not really the best you think you can do. And what you really need to do here is you need to write the worst thing. You're going to strive for the worst thing that you can do to later on make it to the best thing you could ever write. What is the link between creativity and writing? You see, creativity is a tool that allows you to think of new ideas and give you the chance to imagine further, while writing is one of the greatest tools discovered by humans as a form of communication. And the link between these two is very obvious and clear. If you have creativity, you have ideas, you have things that you want to share to the world, the tool that you're going to use is writing. And that's how writing and creativity influence each other. First of all, we have characters that feel realistic. When we brainstorm characters, we have to think of all of the things that the readers would like to know about in your character. The second is brainstorming plot. The plot is the set of events that happen throughout the story, and we need to strive as a writer for a plot that shares the story in an engaging way. The third thing is brainstorming worlds, and not just any type of world. We need to brainstorm worlds that take readers' imagination to the next level. And I think this is, the most important thing throughout the whole fiction writing basics, because you don't need to have a good character or a good plot more than you need to have a good writing style and writing describing the characters. The main characters of my book are Natalia and James. They have complete different personalities. One is an introvert, and the other one is an extrovert. And I think that goes well with the fact that they're siblings. So, a specific example in my book is that Natalia likes to keep, let's say, that in a scene, which happened in one of my books, is that Natalia was writing a note, and she liked to keep it to herself because she didn't feel like she wanted to share with others, and it shows how an introvert kind of person she is. And she did that while James liked to write down his notes and share it to his family and share it to the people around him. And I feel like, them being siblings, them being, these two kind of people that lived together for their whole lives, I feel like this is a really good example in a book. We have in Act 1, which is the beginning, the siblings show a sign of them missing the friends they made a long time ago. Basically, this book is the second book of the series, the Treasure of Lost Sea series. And in the first book, the main characters, Natalia and James, they meet a few friends on their way throughout their journey. And they feel like the step that they took out of this, out of their comfort zone, they feel like they want to go back to it. And in Act 2, they go through the ups and downs as they try to find the heart gem, which is basically their external goal throughout the story. And in Act 3, the story ends with them achieving their external and internal goal. The external being finding the gem, to save, the world, and the internal being realizing that family is everything. In other books, the example could apply on mostly everything. In Act 1, since in the beginning, you're just going to show how your character's world looks like and what are the steps that the character thinks that they should take to go experience and journey through other places. As an example for this, we have the two specific things that you should focus on in the brainstorming the world section. First, we have the writing style, attracting the reader by using a writing method that he or she prefers. As a reader, I feel like we all have different preferences. We all have different things that we focus on as a reader. Sometimes you would focus on the character more, but since you're turning the first page of the story, you're not going to focus on how the characters are because you haven't been introduced to them yet. You would focus more on how the story is being told and how it's being narrated. Through the description, for example, the first sentence of my third book, Beyond the Future World, starts with, "The air outside was perfect. Adventure was in it." And in this specific sentence, starting the story that way, you kind of feel the vibe and the mood that I've set throughout the story, which is a comfortable vibe, but later turns to the opposite of what the reader thought. And it's a good way to attract your reader. I feel like there are tips that every writer should know. These tips are based upon what I've learned throughout the years. First, we have practice writing usually. Writing is a skill that is enhanced mostly by practice. And second, beware of TMD, which is too much dialogue. Recently, I've seen books, and these books are often seen, if they had a good dialogue, then it seems that the book is good. But sometimes we're giving too much information through the dialogue, information that should be introduced later on to the reader. And this could sometimes ruin the story. For the third tip, managing your time. As a student myself, and if you have a job, if you're working, sometimes you think that you have a lot of time to write or to do, other skills that you want to develop or enhance. And the secret is in how you use it. Sometimes you think that, you have all the time that you need, but as a student myself, I've faced a few problems when it comes to time management because I have homework, exams, and all of those stuff. So I take the time that I feel I can use, and I use it to continue writing my books, and that's how I manage my time. The fourth and final tip is the most important tip throughout this whole workshop. In order to be a good writer, then you have to be a good reader. Thank you.